Today on Northern Revolutions, I'm making the 365 video for Christian at CGCVinyl, so stay tuned. Hey Vinyl community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to make a quick video. My pal Christian at CGCVinyl is having a contest for his 1-year anniversary in the vinyl community, and he's running his what he calls the 365 contest, as in 365 days in a year. What he'd like us to do, aside from being a subscriber to his channel, he wants us to make a video where he wants us to show 3 records from one genre, 6 records from another genre, and 5 records from a third genre. I think it's kind of an interesting contest because it allows me to dig a little bit deeper and maybe show some stuff that I haven't shown before. So I'm gonna try and keep it short because I know Christian's gonna have a bunch of these to watch, but let's get into it. So the first genre that I picked, I'm gonna call oldies. Sort of the stuff that came out in the 50s and 60s. When I was a kid, that was, oldies radio was kind of what played in my house. That was always the 50s and 60s. So I pulled 3 out of my collection. This is Diana Ross and the Supremes. It's their greatest hits. I don't have a lot of greatest hits records, but this is one I picked up because while I like the Supremes and it reminds me a lot of my dad, I don't know that I want to own a ton of Supremes albums, but at least here I get all the songs that I grew up with and know and love. So there we go, the Supremes greatest hits. The next one is Ritchie Valens' self-titled album that was released, if I'm not mistaken, just like a month or so after his death, if I'm not mistaken. La Bamba, Donna, Come On, Let's Go. This is, I believe, a second pressing from a couple years after his death. So Ritchie Valens. And thirdly, Del Shannon's Little Town Flirt. This is an album that came out in 1963. Obviously, Little Town Flirt was the lead single off of here. A couple of the other hits were Runaway, Run Around Sue, Hats Off to Larry. Love Del Shannon. So there's my 3 oldies records. So for my second genre that I have to show 6 records of, shouldn't come as a big surprise, I'm going to show 6 Canadian artists. The first one I'm going to show is one that I know Christian is familiar with, and I've also seen Gary at Physical Format Rock and Roll show this and rave about this group. The Surfragettes. They're a female surf rock band. They're from Port Perry, Ontario, which is about 3 hours away from where I live. I saw them last week in Kitchener, met them. They actually signed this record for me. A hell of a show. Great surf rock. Another Canadian female that I love. This is Davnet Doyle. Yes, I know it looks like her name should be pronounced Damnate, but I guess it's Irish. Davnet Doyle, singer-songwriter. I think she's from Toronto, not sure. I've met her. She's wonderful. Said about a 20-year career. This is her most current record from 2019. It's called Liquor Store Flowers. I would call it sort of an adult contemporary rock album. She's got a hell of a voice. She's a great songwriter. Wonderful record. Next up is a band I've never talked about before, but I've seen many times. I've met. They're from Toronto. They're amazing. It's called The Wooden Sky. They're kind of a folky, Avett Brothers-esque, I think, kind of band. This is their, I don't know when this came out. I want to say 10 years ago. This is their album called If I Don't Come Home, You'll Know I'm Gone. Great songs in here. Oh my God, It Still Means a Lot to Me is my favorite. Bit Part is incredible. The Late King Henry, everything on here is great. Like I said, it's sort of folky, kind of like Avett Brothers kind of stuff. Another Canadian artist. This guy's very interesting, Daniel Romano. He's a bit of a chameleon. He did sort of a garage rock band, and then he did his country thing, and now he's back doing a different kind of rock. This is his album, Come Cry With Me. I saw him when he was in his cowboy phase, and he was terrible. He's great though in his rock stuff, but this is like the nudie suit. This sounds exactly like you think it would sound, and there's a song in here called I'm Not Crying Over You, which my buddy Brian and I used to just think was the best, worst song ever, and he used to do it in his open mic pub nights, and I would sometimes sing it with him, and just, it was hilarious. Anyway, Dan Romano, his band now I think is called the Dan Romano Outfit. Another Canadian singer-songwriter from Toronto, Serena Ryder, sort of pop. She had a hit on this. This is her album, Harmony, from 2013. The hit off of here was Stompa, which I think was on like Grey's Anatomy or something like that. It became a hit in the US, so people would probably recognize that song if they heard it. She's won some Juno Awards and stuff. So Serena Ryder, singer-songwriter from Toronto. And no list of Canadian artists would be complete without the man himself, Gordon Lightfoot. This is his album Summertime Dream from 1970-something. Amazing record. The song up here that people might be familiar with is The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is a story about a freighter that sank in Lake Superior. Anyway, Gordon, I don't need to explain any more about Lightfoot because the man's a legend. So those are my 6 records from my second genre, which is Canadian music. And last up is 5 records, 365. This genre, I picked live albums. I have a ton of live albums, so I picked some that I don't think I've shown before. First up is the Guess Who live from the Paramount. This was recorded in 1972. This is after Randy Bachman left the band, and it was kind of downhill from there, in my opinion. They still had some hits after Bachman's departure, but they were never as good as they were with him. Kurt Winter does a reasonable job on guitar, but they do American Woman on here, but it's not going to be as good without Bachman. But that said, this is still a pretty darn enjoyable live record. So the Guess Who live at the Paramount. This is a fantastic live record, and apparently incredibly hard to find on vinyl, so I'm told. This is Levon Helm's Ramble at the Ryman. Levon Helm from the band famously did his midnight rambles at his barn in Woodstock, and I guess this was a version of that they did at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. Incredible. Sheryl Crow's on here as well. Billy Bob Thornton, not that I take him seriously as a musician, because I do not, but this came out in 2011, and it's just incredible. Levon Helm and his band doing a ramble. My next live record is one that pretty much everyone will probably be familiar with, Aerosmith Live, which came out in 78. It's got the hits on it from the early days, Back in the Saddle, Sweet Emotion, Toys in the Attic, Last Child, Come Together, Walk This Way, Dream On, Mama Kin. Aerosmith at their best, I think. I mean, that early period was awesome. I like the later stuff too, sort of the late 80s, early 90s, but I think this is a good live record. My next live album got a theme with the Ryman here. This is Sheryl Crow live at the Ryman. This came out 2 years ago, 2021. It's actually it's a quadruple live album, and it's great. Sheryl I think she's very, very good live. She's got a bunch of guests on here. Like there's one song, Prove You Wrong, guest stars on that song: Stevie Nicks, Maren Morris, Waddy Wachtel, who was Stevie Nicks' guitar player, and Linda Ronstadt's guitar player, Steve Jordan. Emmylou Harris is on here. Brandi Carlile's on here. Fantastic, much better than her other live record. This is really good. Sheryl Crow live at the Ryman. This is a live record that takes me back to my childhood. This is the Everly Brothers reunion. It was at the Royal Albert Hall in September of '83. We had this on compact disc growing up as a kid, and I believe it was the first or second compact disc that my dad ever bought, and my mom and dad played it all the time, and I finally stumbled across this on vinyl. The CD's actually better. There's a little more stuff on the double LP, but some of the stuff isn't quite as good. Still an amazing show, but I just think that the CD version of the concert is a little tighter, a little bit better. But Nevertheless, the Everly Brothers reunion brings me back to my childhood. Great live record. And my last live record is Liam Gallagher. It's Down by the River Thames, which was recorded in December of 2020 during the pandemic. Liam got his band on a barge and cruised down the Thames River playing a concert. And it's got stuff from his at that time just released solo album, and then the Oasis hits. I really like it. This was sort of the turning point for me. I was always a Noel Gallagher fan, but Liam put on a pretty good performance here, and he sort of changed my mind, and I like what he's put out since. So Liam Gallagher, Down by the River Thames. There you go, Christian. There's my entry for your 365 contest. 3 oldies albums, 6 Canadian albums, and 5 live albums. Hope you enjoy that. Everyone, if you could, check out Christian at CGCVinyl. I'll leave a link in the comments to his channel. Please give him a subscribe and check out his video. The man has an incredible music collection and is very, very knowledgeable. I think you'll enjoy what he puts out there. Happy 1-year anniversary, Christian. Mine's coming up in a couple weeks, so we're in the same part in the race. Anyway, that's it for me today, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Catch you on the flip side.